All right, welcome. It is, Todd, it's hard to believe it's the last in the series of 15 statements from Scrum is Hard and Disruptive, a white paper written by Ken Schwaber almost 20 years ago. So we dug this one up and took a look, and this is number 15. The role of an enterprise management changes from telling people what to do to leading and helping everyone do their best to achieve goals. People aren't resources and managers aren't bosses. And I cannot read.
Could be the time of day, Ryan.
So enterprises management has to shift here. And I think this is where, just from a leadership perspective, Todd, this is a topic that through evidence-based leadership, through the evidence-based company, you and I have really, we're going deep here. The leadership changes and the mindset changes and the cultural changes and, shifting from telling to building environments where people can be successful and using boundaries and constraints and nudges as opposed to direct commands. And this is where I think the majority of organizations that we work with struggle.
Yeah. Especially with goal setting, right?
Yep.
So in Scrum, we have a sprint goal and a product goal. There's other goals in an organization. There's the overall strategy of an organization, and there's strategic goals that are associated with that. And so I feel like that achieve goals is really important here. And you mentioned boundaries of constraint. Well, a goal is a constraint, right? And so you might have the Scrum team where we're working on the now, which is the current sprint goal, looking towards the future to some extent on some kind of medium time horizon, which is the product goal. But there's other stuff outside of that. Every product goal should be in alignment with the overall goals of the company. And if your company is really big, there could be different segments of those goals. And setting goals and tracking towards those goals is really hard, right? And so managers need to get this constraint right, all right? It's setting good goals, setting outcome-oriented goals, setting goals that teams, as we talked about in one of the previous episodes, I think it was 13, self-managing teams being extremely productive, right? That was one of I think it was number 13 in Ken's case. To make a self-managing team being really productive, an organization and Scrum teams within that organization need to set good goals. That's how you get a team productive. That's a good boundary. That's a good constraint, right? Now we know in Scrum, the product owner owns product goals that's managed on the product backlog. The Scrum team owns the sprint goal. Outside the bounds of that, there needs to be alignment and good goal setting.
Yeah, I think that's a super important point. The goals are really going to make this possible. And I think this is why you'll see a lot of management get laser focused on activity. Mm-hmm. Are people busy? Are they at their desk 8 hours? Are they on their computers 8 hours? Are keystrokes happening every 30 seconds? You see this optimization for busyness, for activity, for presence, because it's easy.
It is easy.
Yeah. It's easy to measure. It's easy. Is Ryan at his desk? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. All right. Check. That's a good employee. Creating goals is really hard.
Yeah.
Managing the goals is really hard.
The output side of that is this team producing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So measuring and counting the number of things a team produces, how busy that team is, whether cars are staying late in the parking lot, whether you see the green light on in Teams that someone or Slack, someone's available. Yeah. Those are really easy to capture. On the flip side of that, though, when we're talking about an outcome, did this really impact our customer at all? Did our customers' behavior positively change in that? What's interesting about this whole conversation, Ryan, is how many companies we talk to that are shipping things, but never going back to see the result of what they shipped. Yeah. So you could be outputting a lot of stuff. Everybody could be really busy, and it wasn't at all what your customer wanted.
The narrative there is super interesting, Todd. It's we spent a ton of money, we hit an arbitrary date, and we were able to release it through one of our channels. And for some reason, that's enough to say you're successful.
Right. Let's move on to the next thing, close our eyes and not look backwards.
I mean, unless you're Congress, that's not a measure of success. Just spending a ton of money arbitrarily, right?
Yeah. True story there.
But the mindset shift is interesting that Ken points out. People aren't resources. So trying to squeeze every hour and the maximum number of widgets out of people, like that's treating them as resources. That's a resource you're trying to deplete. And the mindset shift here is people are not resources. And at the same time, as a manager, I'm not the boss, right? I'm not there to direct. I'm not telling everybody. I'm there to help set the goals as appropriate and teach teams how to write great goals if they don't know how, set the boundaries and constraints in which those goals will be achieved, and then work to measure objectively, whether or not we're making good progress towards the goals. And if we're not, let's fix the issues. But I do that through self-managing, self-organizing teams and teaching teams those skills and building environments where that type of behavior can flourish. And that is such a big shift from, well, did you build 10 widgets today and were you at your desk for 8 hours?
Yeah.
It's massive. That is a massive gap.
Yeah, it's you're not trying to dig to the deepest hole in the mine and expel every single ounce of natural gas that you can, right? Because eventually that mine is going to run out, right? And I did me with my Googling, Ryan, I did a definition for what bosses are. The person as an employer supervisor who tells people and especially workers what to do every morning. The boss hands out a list of top priorities. That's from Webster's Dictionary.
Yeah, that's not what we need. And if you're sitting there scratching your head going, I don't understand what, fine, Ryan and Todd, I believe you. What does a leader do in this environment? Evidence-based leadership. Go to the evidencebasedcompany.com and read the blog posts and the data we put out about evidence-based leadership and look at it. This is what the modern day leader does. They set up the boundaries and constraints. They help with great goal writing, and they help come up with objective measures. As far as Todd and I are concerned, that comes from evidence-based management, the goal framework with the KVAs and the KVMs. If you don't know what those are, go read about evidence-based management. But that's what we do now. And that is what's going to win in the future, instead of coming up with a task sheet for every creative worker you have in the morning. It's, per Todd's definition.
Yeah. And what we like about evidence-based management is it will point out obstacles that you can help those teams remove that are impeding them from being the team that you want them to be. Yep. Right. Whether that be, we had our blinders on, shipped a bunch of stuff to production and it isn't providing any value, to answering the question, what future market potential are we trying to capture by doing this? Like, what hypotheses do we have here, that relates to unrealized value, to what's keeping our teams back from being as effective as possible, to we have a problem with speed of delivery. All those things are encapsulated in there, and good managers can take those obstacles that are in the team's way and assist those teams with removing them. Because oftentimes it's very hard to do on your own, even if you have a really empowered product owner and a Scrum Master that's actually allowed to do their job in an office environment, remove impediments. Those Scrum Masters still need to sometimes pair with management to be able to remove them, right? Especially as it goes to moving up that ladder as you're trying to influence people.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've hit that one as hard as we can in our time box. And so, Todd, I'm going to go to the end screen here and encourage everybody to hit that bell. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave us your comments. Did you like this series? Was it helpful? Are there other types of series that you'd like to see from us? Let us know in the comments. Check out our socials. We're pretty big on X, formerly known as Twitter, and LinkedIn. Some videos are going to pop up. It's our EBM 101 course. If what we said resonated, dig into that course, learn EBM, and get rolling. Scrum 101 is also there as well. If you don't know the framework, learn it. It's free, right? No excuses. Well, that's it for this series, everybody. Again, let us know in the comments what you think, whether or not it was helpful. We'd love to hear your feedback. For Todd, I'm Ryan. Go forward, do some great Scrum things. Scrum is hard and disruptive, but it's a good thing. Once you work through those disruptions, you get some great product delivery capabilities. So keep working, keep inspecting and adapting. We'll see you next time.